And Susan, we are in the middle of a media scrum with Kendall Unruh, who was leading this delegation, and we're going to jump into this conversation with her. Thank you very much for being with us on C-SPAN. So can you explain to our audience what just happened?
Well, they quashed the voice of the people. I mean, you guys all saw that obviously the delegates wanted a roll call vote, which is a fair part of the process. Take the roll call vote. And so we had submitted the petitions. We have a right to see which petitions were not filled. We have a right to know who withdrew. And that's part of the process under the House rules that we have a right to know, and he should have addressed who withdrew. So once again, the system's rigged in order to make sure that Donald Trump gets this nomination. Donald Trump needs to earn our support. He needs to earn our votes because he cannot coerce votes out of people in a general election, and that's what he's doing here.
Explain what happened with the 9 states and then 3 states didn't qualify. What was that all about?
Well, we circulated petitions. The rules require that you get the majority of delegates in 7 states. So we actually submitted 10 because just to make sure that we had enough names submitted. So what they're saying is that they had the 3 states withdraw, and they're saying that they didn't have enough signatures from the states in order to qualify. So we need to now procedurally go and have them prove that. Because quite honestly, with the history of the Republican Party and the way that they treat the grassroots, consider me suspect. And they were whipping pretty hard. I mean, Reince himself, I heard, was pulling the delegates out and having them take their name off the list. This is America, and people should have the sanctity of their vote not threatened, intimidated, and coerced out of them. And when they have made a decision on a vote, they should be allowed to relax and rest assured that that vote is not going to be altered with, or it's not going to be threatened to be changed. And what you had here was you had a lot of strong-arm tactics, which, by the way, we've run up against this entire past 6 weeks, is our delegates being strong-armed and even threatened with the recourse of law in order to have to vote for Donald Trump. And fortunately, the recent federal case that was decided in Virginia took away that hammer that they were using, that they would actually be arrested if they would not vote for Donald Trump. So you have a presidential candidate who is wanting the nomination that is using threats of arrest, that is using strong-arm tactics, that is using coercion and mandates in order to get a vote of confidence from the delegates on this floor. Why doesn't he work to earn it? And then that creates unity within the party.
And we were in the Virginia delegation. The former Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli was trying to be recognized. His microphone was turned off. Why?
Because it's not a fair process. Because you all witnessed the fact that they shut us down. So we play by the rules, and in order to game the system, they have to make sure that the dissension is quelled. But what they don't understand is when you attempt to quell dissension, it only builds up in those that have the dissension. It doesn't smooth things over, it actually makes things explode. So, unfortunately this isn't over, and we're going to have to hold the party accountable for the way that we've been treated.
A lot of people want to talk to you here in the media, but why are you still here as a Republican? Will you vote for Donald Trump?
Oh, I can't. I mean, I'd be a hypocrite to cite all the reasons why he's not a Republican and then I go and I vote for him in the fall. That does not mean I want Hillary Clinton. We're doing this because we don't want Hillary Clinton, because Donald Trump actually is not the best nominee to actually go out and win in the fall. I mean, you see his tactics. You can't force people in a general election to vote for you, and he's not earned the trust of the women vote. He's not earned the trust of the minority vote. He lost the swing voters. The Trump factor is affecting all of our down-ballot races within Congress. So we're losing the branding of our party. We're losing what it means to be a conservative. He's changed the face of the party, admittedly so. He says it's not a conservative party. He wants it to be a workers' party in 10 years. So by his own admission, he says he doesn't need conservatives to win. Well, what you're seeing here is you're seeing an exemplification of that. He doesn't want conservatives in the party. So we'll honor that.
Let me just
win without us.
I just want to remind our audience, including those on C-SPAN Radio, we're talking to Kendall Unruh, who is the Never Trump movement from the Colorado delegation. So final question.
Well, I started Free the Delegates, so that was the organization that I started in order to make sure that Donald Trump didn't reach the threshold of delegates needed in order to get the nomination.
So what's going to happen next? Could we see more insurgency on the floor in the days ahead?
You will see more insurgency and I have nothing to do with the fact that the people now know that their voices were squelched. I mean, this is just part of what you don't want to do in a fair process. Is you don't want to make sure you use every scenario in order to quelch dissent. And I mean, we don't live in a dictatorship. We don't live in a banana republic. And what you're seeing is tyrannical types of maneuvers that are applied to make sure that the will of the people isn't reflected. Have a roll call vote. Obviously, you have the majority of people that are wanting a roll call vote. And the interesting thing about the roll call vote on the rules is the fact it wasn't just the unbinding movement, and it wasn't just the conscience movement where people wanted to vote their free conscience and not have to be locked in with the rules and the binding and what was passed out of the Rules Committee. But you had people that were truly concerned about the fact that the RNC has now established itself as king. And they are allowed now to make any decision in between conventions that they don't agree with, unaccountable to the people, unaccountable to the voters, unaccountable to these delegates, unaccountable to anybody. They made themselves king. That's what that rules package was about. It's not even about the grassroots and the voters anymore. It's about whatever the party and the establishment and the party bosses want.
So we could see a roll call vote and maybe some uprising on Wednesday.
You're going to see our delegates challenging the roll call votes.
A lot of media wanting to talk to you. We'll let you go to NBC. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. Susan, an interesting moment here on the floor. Back to you.